I say the Brits media are not tell them thank you fine. So I want to thank you to all the journalists, all the editors there. With the help we go, I want to thank you to the partner that are here, so Orlando Excel and Sierra Wata and Elcom, all the one of the make sure so we get internet and all community radio stations across the country really carry live. This is a very special edition of the Press and Civic Engagement because this one we focus specifically on the mining sector, and we do this in collaboration with the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources. Today we get a very distinguished panel here. We can talk about a very simple yet complex issue. The theme for today's press conference now the mining week and the mining sector within the at stake. We're very honored today to get the Honorable Julius Matai, who is the Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources. He will come and talk about the state of the sector and give you updates on mining week waiting family for expect. I also get on the far right somebody we I think say plenty people also sabi. Me and my own brother, my comrade of the Radicals Club, so it's a you can also not just a comrade for me personally in a squaddy. That means me to go radicals on the same day. Mr. Ibrahim Soye Kamara, I am the CEO for the mining company where they call Mayor, but also there as well for talk on behalf of the Chamber of Mines and Country. I also want to especially welcome my sister, we come out Angola, but originally from Zimbabwe, Madam Ella Muchemwa. I am the Executive Director for the African Diamond Producers Association. So we get a very distinguished guest. We're very pleased and privileged in Sierra Leone to welcome you, and particularly as the spokesperson of the government of Sierra Leone, I want to welcome you to Sierra Leone on behalf of my colleagues at the government. And I thank you for your collaboration and very fruitful working relationship with our distinguished Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources. So we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. We conduct these engagements in our local language, Creole. So you don't have an option, you have to speak Creole today. But we will let you speak English as well. So we'll be able to mix it for you. As usual, before we start, I can give a quick update of the news. Unfortunately, I say there was an incident yesterday, so this screen audio, but I can ask you for turn your attention to that other screen there on the far side. We'll just give you quick updates of the news in the past week. So the first item, now this is very important. His Excellency President Julius Maada reiterates, say, EU President, he don't make spend more time after he not to him. You don't get forget third time. EU presidents are a Democrat, and in commitment to that being absolute. He don't make this clear. The Attorney General himself made this clear in theater last week on the 3rd of April in the talk. He mentioned say the constitutional review process no get nothing to do with third term. And the AG sector reiterates say we did try frustrating the laws that frustrating democracy on Salon. So una the journalists they will report to Malena group they will report anything we will talk. His Excellency no get no interest whatsoever in third term, more time, extended time, all of that they mix balance in there. Number two, and this is also important because this news always can be subjected to fake news. The People's Republic of China will donate 27,600 bags of 50 kilograms of rice for Salon as part of the Emergency Food Assistance Initiative. The handing ceremony will take place at the World Food Program in warehouse and Isi Dockyard. The Chinese ambassador, Wang Qin, will highlight China's commitment for support Salon in food security and economic development. And if you look, say, between 2018 and 2024, China don't give 10,600 metric tons of rice for every smallholder farmer for boost food production in Salone. We also talk about the other project that China they do with Salone, including National Stadium, Salone China Friendship Hospital, as just an example of the friendship we did between China and Salone. Okay? They don't give yes. We will be very transparent about how the yes will be distributed as we did the last time. Okay? Number 3, the Madam First Lady, Madam Fatima Bio, they will be honored one grand ceremony in our parliament. They will be elected as the president for the Organization of African First Ladies for Development. This event is the presidential agenda advisor and the parliamentary female caucus and but if you draw participation from women group there across the country, they might equip them, the paramount chief them, military and police web, civil society organization, women's forum, 50-50. But come up with like a group there, so Fula, Madinga, members of government secretary, and I'm a privilege for doing the introduction of Her Excellency the First Lady. Number 5 news, now that the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Timothy Musakaba Alhaji, don't arrive in Astana, Kazakhstan for 1 week-long visit with a counterparts, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs for Kazakhstan, His Excellency Murat Notliu, be invited for Dede for talk about how the two countries then will continue for work together. Number 7, His Excellency the President may receive Mr. Neil Richmond, the Irish Minister for International Development, who currently is alone on a working visit. President Leo will be taken to Ireland for the partnership with the Gary Salone and for the support they support the country. And Salone recently established an embassy in Ireland for continue for strengthening the bilateral relationship between Salone and Ireland. Number 8, Madam First Lady just arrived in Addis Ababa, I think yesterday, in anticipation for that official inauguration where the stop works. We now will take the seat now maybe as the president for the African First Ladies for Development. The First Lady the talk said illegally and the committee will continue for facts for women and campaigning rights within a disposition. Number 9, the Minister for Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Kenya Bagay, currently they represent the country at the 58th session of the United Nations Commission on Population and Development in New York. And the theme this year is ensuring healthy lives and promoting the well-being for all at all ages. Madam Kenya Bagay will be one of the first speakers there in the joint statement on behalf of 78 countries and talk about what Salone they do and all of that. So I think we will tap in for a summary of the news. We will come for coming to that today, but just remind fabulous some of the highlights of the government of Salone in the past week. Because today we get plenty for talk about today, and as I say, we get a very distinguished panel. For kicking off, I come to my colleague, one of the most, I think, distinguished public officials in the country, the man we, I think, say one of the media on the lecture, because on the lecture for putting face on our front page in plenty, because now I'm a man also, but so I'm a man, I'm a man we, a straight shooter. Every time he talk, we must be much about the mining sector. We learn a lot because they deliver a lecture, a knowledge, a vast commitments to developing the sector in this country is truly remarkable. So, Honorable Julius Matai, the question I want to ask you is: will you 10 minutes? By the way, we get the time and we can Mr. Malik, you block me time now. So, sadly. Mr. Minister, the question is, what are the states of the mining sector, Mr. Law? Currently, plenty mining related news day. Some good, some not so favorable. We know say you don't be work for deal with all the issue here. And then this week, you don't bring up everybody in the mining sector, pretty much in Africa and even beyond. You invite them the days alone for mining week. So you take the first 6 minutes to talk about the sector. The last 4 minutes for tell you waiting at this mining week and this certificate and why it's important for Salon.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, for bringing me together and giving the opportunity as well to talk about the mining sector generally. Of course, for the one we know, we're not strangers to the mining sector. Before my appointment in July 2023 as Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources, me, I'm the Director General of the National Minerals Agency from February 2019. That's a technical wing of the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources, and then they provide support and technical advice to the ministry. Every time we talk about mining issues, I think sometimes people can only get focus on the narrow aspect of it. Either social media, they don't see, they don't hold somebody for illegal mining, or maybe some strike they want somewhere here and there. So I believe, waiting actually we meet until and waiting mining until sometimes not everybody gets them. I'm glad I get this opportunity today. So when we talk about the mining sector generally, they cut across so many sectors, and it means we have to work horizontally, vertically with other government ministry departments and agencies. Of course, as we all know, all the minerals in this country, the one already above the ground, the one already inside the ground, the one already under the ground, they belong to the state and the Republic of Sierra Leone. And we are the custodians and we the manager on behalf of the state. Through the power, we the law. Where I say the law, that are the acts together with the regulations and other statutory instruments doing for them. And the mandate is very clear. That will make sure that Sierra Leoneans the benefit from the mineral resources that we have in this country. And we'll talk about mineral resources in terms of mandates and only solid minerals. So not too responsible for petroleum and gas that are petroleum directorate together in the office of the president. Severally, that misunderstanding cannot only here, but even with other African countries, because in so many other countries, the Ministry of Mines, it includes solid minerals and non-solid minerals. So I make that clear. We not only solid minerals we do it. And one of the most people in this country, from the common we don't begin mining in this country for long, from bauxite, iron ore, gold, diamond, coltan, and heavy mineral sands, but we'll talk about that. Well, for managed mineral resources on behalf of the country, as I mentioned earlier, we have to deal with other institutions. It means we have to look at how we administer the mineral rights. For give right to somebody, be a Sierra Leonean, be a non-Sierra Leonean, we can see why invest in the mining sector. Of course, that we classify into large-scale mining, small-scale, and artisanal. And it means now we can develop a mineral cadastral system for ensuring we know where we are licensed, who are licensed, who are coordinated with the lines with all other ministries and local governments and all other legal institutions, other institutions with legal mandates for intersection with the mining sector. So we demarcate the coordinates, we manage the license and day. Also we make assessments. Again, I make it clear. The Ministry of Mines and the end, they will only collect money on behalf of the government. Assessment they do. They will issue order to pay. They go to NRA, and they collect money. So license administration number one. And making sure that money, once it's done, we assess what is NRA to make sure that the money will be accrued to the whole on behalf of the government is used and distributed equitably. So also, we will issue the license We get the revenue we assess, we call non-tax revenues. That we assess royalties, license fees, with the government collect over the NRA. Then the tax-related ones, corporate income tax, withholding tax, all over the NRA collected and then the assessment. So we ensure make sure the land we people use. I mean, we work with the Ministry of Land Secretary Planning because it's a Consumer Land Rights Act. We work with them for make sure all the rights of the people, the traditions, and culture are well respected. We also get to work with Ministry of Environment and Climate Change for dealing with environmental issues. So before we give you a mining license, we make sure you do environmental impact assessment, and we look at your environmental footprint, we look at issues of climate change, we look at issues of health and safety over around the mining community areas. Then even land use, so how they use the land and the entire country. We also get to make sure the communities that fully participate, as I say, their rights, traditions, and culture are protected, and making sure issues like child labor, issues like gender mainstreaming, issues like conflict redress and resolution mechanisms are in place, making sure also that the mining communities that we normally disproportionately affected by the impact of mining, how basically the revenue we collect, when the government collect at national and local level, they cascade to the NSF undertake development, and NSF benefit from that. We also get to make sure we work with academia. We have a young man, a young woman in this country to make sure the companies already come, how they upskill and build the capacity, the capabilities, and the ability to make sure they participate meaningfully. So we work with academia, we work with schools, and we work with sure we do research and development. There are issues about human rights we deal with, corruption, transparency, accountability through the extractive industries and transparency initiative and the EITI to make sure there's transparency and accountability in the sector. We will also ensure things like the institutional setup, how the ministries that work with other MDAs, say for example the parliament, the cabinet, the NMA, the ministry. We also get institutions that will not come on board like the Sierra Mines and Development Corporation, the Mineral Wealth Fund. How we work and make sure of course the laws are all right. Most importantly, the Ministry of Mines only formulate policies for any mining sector. The NMA, they implement. So that policy formulation, in 2018, the government set up 3 policies. The mining policy of Sierra Leone, then the coverage data policy, then also coverage system policies. Now they formulate, now they take them paper in the cabinet, making sure we get concurrence and agreement from the cabinet, and if we need to revise the law, we ever take on the cabinet and work through the parliament for make sure the laws are okay. What they said with laws, we have to ensure not only in the Australian context, we have to be very much aware of what will take place at the sub-region, at the ECOWAS region. So we harmonize with policies and guiding principles in mining. We have to be aware of what will take place at the African continent. We get the African mining vision. We see Africans therefore benefit from the mineral resources through value addition and beneficiation will allow broad sustainable development. And Sierra Leone are signatory to so many protocols, conventions, and treaties. We have to be aware of that, including sustainable development goal 2030. We also therefore ensure as we do this sort of work, the health and safety and labor issues are fully addressed. Because inside the law, apart from the act that we the recently revised Organic Mines and Minerals Development Act, we also get regulations. And then we get the other one, the Mines and Minerals Corporation Regulation of 2013, where we take care of the welfare of the staff, the people who work in the mining industry. They're well protected, their environment is well done, they're well paid, and making sure also they're skilled. So that then gradually, look at content police we can in, we are in, especially foreign companies that we can, big large-scale mining companies, that as time they go on, USAI, Sierra Leoneans are and capable provide similar quality of service. That you take them on board, you can do them for enforce all of those things. Most importantly, we ensure the revenue will be assessed and will make NRA through the Ministry of Finance and collect the benefits Sierra Leoneans to such an extent that it's not only who can talk with mineral rich, but also how we translate which we call natural wealth into social capital for impact on the lives of the people, so that we have good schools, good roads. We also, even with pride, with somebody else with dignity is well respected. making sure someone can take infrastructure and development. So these are some of the general things that we do in the mining sector. And over the past few years, before I come to the mining week, as I said, if anybody will follow, I mean in 2020, total mineral export from this country, that'll be about $310 million. By 2021, even with COVID here, the last year, 2024, now $1.12 billion. 2023, $1.6 billion. Take it back to USA, we know African minerals are not mining, they all be there. We all normally say the mining sector may do well, they contribute to nearly 25% to the GDP. Yes, with these figures, there can be an increase, but the contribution to GDP has been in single figures. Single digits, normally between 1 and 2. People can ask how the percentages matter. There will be a whole lot of initiatives, a whole lot of sources of revenue, which are really coming. And most importantly, let's just bring recent years. When you look at 2023 and 2024, waiting we have.
Just so you know, we'll add 5 minutes for you. The 10 minutes what they know waiting at the resources almost we get from the mining sector. And break it down. So we'll give you time, take your time. Break that down for we can also look at the contribution of very specific minerals. That's why they accrue more than others.
Alright. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. For putting in perspective, don't like us see several okay we say surely not even from any mining sector, I mean from any activities. Like people like could do 3% or they can do 3%. 3% are royalty. The revenue stream from the mining sector diversified. As I can say, we put it into 2 categories. We get tax revenues that are things like corporate income tax, things like withholding tax on dividend, on interest, on management services, GST, custom and excise import duties. That's again the Ministry of Finance and NRA. But the mining sector go to call non-tax revenues. So that royalty, not just 1%, and I mean not just one stream. For bulk, which we call bulk minerals, iron ore, bauxite, rutile, a value past $500 million, now 8% you pay. Okay? For the one they do gold, if you're not large scale mining, now 5%. If you're not artisanal, we don't reduce up to 1% of the value. Now, in terms of those royalties, we do $1 million. But last year, 2024, it goes to $22 million. We double that. Alright? Then also license fees is another non-tax revenue. First term, license fees for the way the last scale mining license $500,000 you pay yearly. We fed through the revised Mining Minerals Act for those to increase up to $1 million, which we did. So with that, the revenue will go to the government in 2023 that will be $11 million. But then that will go to $22 million, we double that. Now, when you look at what income in non-tax revenue, it increased from $32 million to $49.9 million. Again, I repeat, that is non-tax revenue. So there will be an increase. But of course, when you look, there was a decline in the total export. Which I mean by that, in 2023, that will be $1.6 billion. But then, in 2024, now $1.12 billion, about 3.75% decline. People they ask why. We all know what happened at Europe time. In 2024, we had to stop production, suspended production. And Rutan are one of those who they contribute. So I just ask you to minerals. Currently, as I speak, iron ore, they contribute to nearly 70% of the total export from this country in 2024. Iron ore, the total value of the export in 2024 is $785 million. $785 million. I will attribute that to the 2 mining companies. Kigo Mining Company, where they operate Tokoli, Fembaya, and Marampa, where they operate Foki and Marampa Chief on the day. Kigo alone did nearly about 584. Then Marampa, they get a slight dip, they did about $149 million. Previously they did about 228, but they said they installed new plants. Now, just after iron ore, as I said, it responds to 70%. The next, the diamond. Diamond, I mean, we've been saying we are mineral rich, but we put it in context to compare to iron ore. It's not really that big. Last year, when I say last year, 2024, total diamond export from this country, now $102 million. And out of that, $82 million, like we do holdings.
What are the percentage for the diamond?
The diamond?
All numbers 70% if you give.
Yeah, diamond is just roughly 12%.
Okay.
Iron ore 80%. The next most important commodity and the values of 2020, these are for 2024. 9 are heavy mineral sands. A lot of people don't even know what heavy mineral sands of late. Anybody who don't go around Iperi, Jong, Lower Banta, Upper Banta, or Malai, or District, and it's usually called black sand. So for years, the only two we know that the sure route they do the black sands because they don't need that more area from the 60s. But then get the machine where they call them the spiral separation plant. So they have black dirty. Then they separate ilmenite, rutile, and zircon. Where they sell. The other small other one, they don't get an MSP, so they run a cocktail of all them when they sell. Last year, Syria rutile, even though the production they did down, but in terms of exports for rutile, about $55 million. Then they did about $34 million for zircon, then about $60 million for ilmenite. The other companies, what they say they don't have mineral sands, they did $99 million worth of exports, when at the third largest sector in terms of export. And most of them are small scale, because what we don't, only 3 years ago we begin here. And what's this small scale? You set your concession of more than 2 square kilometers, 2 square kilometers, 2 meters, 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. Last year, it normally be 125 square kilometers. So, again, one thing I get to understand, the mixture of the contribution will change depending on the circumstances today. Now, bauxite, so long we bauxite until 2008. Venezuela will be they do almost 1.7 to 2 million tons per annum. They will bring total exports of 64 million. But when I said no, from when the Russia-Ukraine was that company will get a lot of Russian investors that they affected. So from doing around 1.7 to 2 million tons per annum, they reduce that to about 300,000 tons. So the revenue they will bring not be really much. Now be about $10 million. And if you actually take 3% royalty, that's okay. Bauxite, good on. Then when we look at gold, several people that say, hey, we get gold. Now 2 things that is artisanal mining, a very crucial. But at the same time, you don't need too much. I give you earlier, I say for diamond, the total about $102 million. When you do 82, but artisanal just about $20 million. And then when it comes to gold, in total about $11 million export. $10 million of that artisanal. $1 million heavy last year. But here's the good news. Over the last 3 years, we don't get license for large scale mining license, mining of gold in this country. For the first time in history of Australia in 2022 at the end of the day, we work with Mr. Rado Yoki and Timothy Kaba. We issue those licenses. Those are going to go to production. FG go really about just imagine, we do 1 million. But when they begin, they're going to be doing over $300 million a year. Yeah? Most times, kilos. Compare that to Ghana. Ghana is doing 120,000 tons, for which they get, last year Ghana, $11.3 billion. $11.3 billion for gold. How much we get? 11 million. If it did we compare, they're doing over $5-6 billion worth. People like say that, they take the money, they go. But again, one thing, why they summarize, this statistics were again, there was a time, just after the war, with most mining companies of the work, that diamond will be reliable. Diamond was responsible for 85% of total exports. Time can tell when the diamond begin go down, the router take over. Router that begin responsible for nearly 60%. Then said go till that time the iron ore was zero after we're in London, I'm mining the African minerals camp, they take over. They begin with 60 to 70%. But by November 2017, iron ore export stopped after Shandon Iron State and gold. So from 2017 till up to 2022, there was no iron ore export from this country. Just imagine, there was none, but now all of a sudden, they're responsible for 70%. Roots are not good on, diamond not good on. So, but there are new minerals that we try for discover who concrete minerals. Lithium, we don't give the license for that. As I mentioned, heavy mineral sands that they come up. The diamond industry, they go through a lot of challenges. 5 large-scale mining licenses for diamond. Koido Holdings, Mea, Tokuma, Sierra Diamond, and Searite. The industry did them right, but none of them, the producers who I know recently, within that program we do. Mayor, we get representative now. I mean, that's a decision because here in Turkey, the best, most cleanest and kept mine, and a lot of potential. So I will stop there for now. To answer your questions.
Mr. Minister, I told you, I say anytime this minister talk, we all learn plenty. One thing they were we just clarify because when people hear the number here, it's easy for misunderstand. 2023, 1.6 billion in exports. You know what I mean? Say, now 1.6 billion government get a private company there. The private company they don't put their money for invest. The cabinet minister say government in they get money, the more they make na percentage we they get. So depending on the mineral we get 3%. Okay? And then we get other non-taxable side they will say they get small money. So of that 1.6 billion 2023 government the indirect money they get out of that is still what 20 how many million?
Like we just go take the receipt of 2024.
Okay, good.
Okay? 1.12 billion total value of export. Tax, non-tax revenue. That are the royalty, license fees, it go to about $49.9 million.
So about 50 million.
Yes. But then NRA responsible for the tax revenues. Yeah. We don't think we need to that are taxes. That's I mentioned that the corporate income tax, utility tax, GST, import of fuel, capital gains tax, and all that they do. Normally, it accounts for about 10 to 15% of the non-tax revenues.
Okay. So it's another like 10% of the 50, which will be
right now as I speak, we try for verify the figure that we NRA. It will work around there about 7-8 billion. So we ask all something like $59 million.
So
actually, we're not tax revenue, but you get other indirect benefits, things like PE and other stuff. We of course, as you realize with the weekend, and the more you add, the more you pay. So when we watch out of 1.12 billion, let's say roughly 60 million.
Very important everyone will understand. It's not part of the public debate to always get on civics. We get a company there, they export 1.something billion, which we get less than 100 million. About 60 billion the government covers. And this a lot of reasons, right? A private company, they can invest the money, then they make profits. When they make profits, and then they put small things, well, we put the system that will not put in place. I just want to let the headline be say, government may get 1.something billion. Yes.
One caveat, I can always tell people, mining is very expensive, it's very risky. You look for something, we don't see it underground. Yeah? Where most of them people like some people will not say to you, I don't mind the company of the mine or the community. Mine is very expensive. Let me give you an example. Now, Bauma, 2010, we will already get down the way, no cloth will be the mighty not going to last year. The Amaran gold can take over. The Alco can take over. The Lefa. Because when they believe something, they don't spend 20 million, 30 million. Every go we don't carry as a speed. They don't spend over $270 million. They still develop, and they need development. The cost of, before they go into full operation, they look at nearly $547 million. Most of that money, and then they will lend. And they get for the pay interest, and then they give the pay the principal for future. They get profit, but the profit normally and later. So most people like it can call a payback period. Imagine you take money they pour in. So what you always say, if government say people get that money, they go to them, they get the right people, the capacity, they don't politicize, the work staff, and all other stuff. They keep, but nobody want to take that risk because government get for provide hospital, pay salaries, and other stuff. So most countries, that royalty, that's what they do. They take some they go into partnership. So for them, when I don't say each company we can, they all get debt. But at the same time, we can sign an agreement with them for the other thing there. So I will stop here for now.
All right. Well, what we do, I want to come to Mr. Ibrahim Soye quickly. And then Minister Pem will come back to you on Mining Week because you take so much time on the civic education part, you know, you will tell me about the mining week. Because, and I also come back to this point where people they say why the country not get a stake, and I don't say part of it, I don't tell people the many are well funded. Now for let the country set get a stake, so we get percentage now of our exports. Like we said, we get a stake into this. But Mr. Kamara, you na mining, I can say magnates as well. Well, the minister just say one of the major mining companies in the country, he say obviously now I get the license for do that. We don't soon also make news, plenty tell when I can find some big diamond here and there, so I can joke with and say I'm a rich man. And then I think the other thing is with all this conversation about the state of the mining sector, when I get a personal experience, when I did it, and you also represent the chamber of mine, I want you to tell family small about, from my own perspective, which is the state of the mining sector, which one I see, the improvements there, the challenges there, and waiting one I will foresee. I just want to take you again, the minister to say you maintain or mayor mine to maintain the cleanest, best run mine in the country. I'm proud for saying I say Leone and my brother, we get a major stake in the for that kind of work. So congratulations on that. But you get only 7 minutes. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, Honorable Minister. First of all, I want to say the Honorable Minister of Mines did a very good job for explaining to we all, whether we understand some things that we more often than not we misunderstand about the mining sector. So I think I agree with you. When the minister talk, we all learn. Now, again, so the minister basically summarized everything. So if I look at them from the perspective of the mining sector, i.e. the operators of the mining license, I would say this. First of all, from what the minister said, you experience something in that you see the volatility of the mining space. We come up from a stage where diamonds were up there, and then you see them pass the baton to iron ore, so roots are restoring now to iron ore. And the reason for that is simply, the market. The markets play a very big role in this. As we speak, if you look at the diamond market today, it is terrible. It has been so for a long, long time. It's never been this bad. Diamond market has never been this bad. And what that means is that mining companies and wading into diamonds get to suffer a lot. So it's not just about you producing the diamonds, you take them at the market, and maybe they will get enough for them to say you make some even marginal profit. And also the fact that now if you did at a stage, like a week for example, where the first will develop a mine for bringing a company to commercial production, for them able access capital is very, very difficult because investors are not interested in diamond right now because the diamond is bad, diamond price is bad. But then if you look at iron ore, right now, iron ore there on the up. If we recall, the minister talked about the time where African minerals and London mining basically go bust. That was when the iron ore price plummeted. Today, these mines are flying because the prices are appreciated, and I think that is the reality of the resource markets. That's how it is. Now, so I think the state will want to get to all of you, and I'm saying this as a chairman, and now let me get this balance where you get all of these resources on the price of the up. And I think that would be the ultimate goal way, the ultimate place where the government want for it, because then the diamonds are doing well, iron ore is doing well, woodside, bauxite, and all of these minerals are doing well. I think that is where you want to do. But today, as we speak, iron ore is doing very well. Woodside has just transitioned, as we know. We now get Sierra ownership day, and they are picking up from Woodside, the last management that they tried to do a lot of work, they're busy doing a lot of work. And then you look at, we get the mining sector, the diamond sector, sorry. The diamond sector is struggling right now. We're underwater. That is the simple truth. So if you listen to the export figures and all of that, it's simply because we're in a bad place right now. Are we going to be there much longer? It depends. Recently, the price pick up, we are beginning to see some life being breathed into the sector, And then we all know, well, very recently that the United States don't decide for imposed tariffs across the board. Now you don't come into, say, the diamond sector and other sectors, not get for candy because investors are panicking. All now foresee waiting there for the outcome of these tariffs and how things are going to go, whether or not they're going to be short-lived or they're going to be permanent. If they're going to be permanent, people are going to readjust. So we get some momentary increase in the market, and then hopefully we will begin to see some joy in that the markets will begin to improve. But as it stands, that is the state. So when you listen to these figures, you see those huge disparities as a result of the way the markets perform right now. And if the market picks up, you will see suddenly the contribution of, say, the diamond space will increase significantly. But then because of the state of this, now we get that way. And hopefully not for too long, and then things will move.
Thank you, sir. I'll just do a quick follow-up with you. When the shift here they happen, with that implication for the staff and the people there. So like Leone company, so I'm saying they're going to get some conversation about who's going to be in very, very specific states now that, business not go on, or want to keep. But with that implication for the staff and the economy from my perspective.
So, of course, it goes without saying that in this sort of situation, the economy will take a knock. Because if you're not generating revenue, for diamond, for example, the minister talks about the royalties. When you export, you pay royalties. If you don't export, you can't pay royalties. So government takes a knock in that regard. Obviously, you still have to pay your mining license fees, so that is okay. And then it comes to the employees. The employees also therefore take a little bit of a knock in that you can cope up to a certain period. So if things are looking bad, you're not in production, no revenue is being generated, you will say, okay, we will hold on, maybe things will pick up. But if continually things don't pick up, you therefore begin to look at cost management measures. So for example, in your case, you have an operating cost, a monthly operating cost of in excess of $2 million. If you spend $2 million month on month out of shareholder money, they generate revenue, that is not good business. It gets to a point in man will say, you know what, let me reduce this cost there, let's find ways. And normally what mining companies will do, will look at things internally first, like what are we doing right now that we can do with that? What we can afford for coping right now, and then you need for make the adjustments in it. But then it gets to a point where you also need for begin shed some weight. So you say, okay, do we go into retrenchment mode where you therefore let go a lot of the employees then, or do we, adopt other measures? For example, in your case, you send a percentage of the workers on garden leave, so they stay home, and then you say, we will pay una 50% of our salary. So you stay home, you get 50% of your salary, and let's see how things progress. And then the other casualty will be the experts then. Because the experts in the drive pay will go up. I mean, they're here, you feed them, you do everything. So we don't push over 80% of our experts, I think I can say over 90% of experts are gone. Because you need for shed that way. And then you take other measures. You don't just simply mean you need for beginning a safe cost for let you be able to stay alive. What you don't want to do, you don't want for stop operation completely. Because what it means, if you stop completely, for let you come back and restart, for let you begin to demobilize and do all of that, it takes a long time for you for let you do that. So you don't want to do that, you want for hanging there to a point, and then you see what will happen. So government they take a knock in addition to the royalty in the form of pay. For example, if you lay off employees, then that pay is not coming to government. The NASI's contribution for the happen. And then for the local community, which is perhaps one of the biggest concerns I think even government gets, now that with these companies functioning at full throttle, then we'll support the local economy. People will do business, you get after shop steps, so man will supply them this and that. But once you stop, all of these businesses also begin to suffer. And they will get some serious impact to the local economy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The reason we make a glad we will get you and we ask the question here. This sector, with respect, such a critical sector, but most people don't even understand it.